I feel like this video is going to be a bit of a mess because I'm not prepared, but I just wanted to share with you my experience with reading slumps and with DNFing books, because for me they're kind of linked in some way. I'm gonna explain you why. Hello walls, what's up? I hope you're good, and yeah, I hope you're ready for this video if you are in the middle of a reading slump or if you're not sure about the DNFing books, etc, etc. I really hope this is gonna help you. If it doesn't help you, at least it will give you my point of view on both subjects, both matters. But yeah, let's just jump into it. First, reading slumps. What is a reading slump? It is when you just can't read. You don't have the motivation to read, or you just cannot focus, or you're just burnt out, you cannot read anymore, you don't want to read. Just the idea of reading is like making you mad or whatever. You just can't. You just can't. You're doing everything that you can to avoid actually reading a book. Have I experienced reading slumps? Yes, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been wanting to film this video. It happened a few times, and the longest was like for 3 months, I believe. The other one was like a little over a month. I'm still not quite over it, but I'm not in it at the moment, just because I recognize some signs and some things I should do when I feel like it's coming, it's starting, whatever. We're gonna talk about that. So I'm familiar with the concept, unfortunately. So, and it's normal if you are. You're not alone. We have so many readers out there who are experiencing the same thing. So don't worry, it is normal, and I'm gonna give you some tips as well on how to make it go away. So now I'm going to talk about triggers, what causes me to actually go into a reading slump. And it's going to be like summarized in 2 things. Overly reading, so reading so much in a short amount of time, such as for readathons, etc. Or forcing myself to read a book instead of DNFing it. So these are the 2 triggers, 2 things that really make me not want to read anything. And I'm not talking about when I'm not in a mood, when I'm sad, or I feel depressed, or etc, or I'm sick. These are something you cannot really control. But the readathons and DNFing books, or forcing yourself to read a book, are things you can actually kind of control. The other thing is just take time for yourself. Like if you're feeling depressed, you're sick, or whatever, you just cannot read because for no particular reason, you're sad, just don't force yourself. Unless reading is for you a way to forget about things, don't force yourself to do anything, just take care of yourself. Always, wolves. That's the most important thing to do. But yeah, challenges and readathons can be a way to get into a reading slump, because with a community you just want to be better, you want to make your team win or whatever, so you just read like a machine or whatever. That's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I love doing it. I love challenging myself. I love seeing my team winning. I love seeing the whole community reading together and getting motivated and motivating each other, etc. I really love that. But sometimes after I'm just like burnt out and I just cannot read anymore for a little while, a long while, it really depends, but it happens and it's absolutely normal. It's like running for hours and hours and hours. You can find a motivation, you can find the strength to do it, and then at one point you just can't. You just can't. That's exactly the same thing, and it is normal. Your body needs to recover from the run, your mind needs to recover from reading too much. That's absolutely fine. So yeah, as much as I love readathons, read-alongs, book clubs, and all the challenges are there, sometimes it's just too much for me. And yeah, but I know that. I know that, but I keep playing the game and I keep pushing myself, and I keep like being like, you need one more book before the end of the month. And I mean, it's fun, so why not? So in order to avoid that in readathons or whatever, I try to plan my TBR in advance, but I try to see what book clubs I'm following are reading. I'm trying to find what other friends are doing. I'm gonna try to find out about possible like buddy reads before, you know, planning everything for the readathon, etc. to try to make the books match, you know, to pick the buddy read for also like a readathon prompts, etc, etc. So I try to be prepared, and I also try to read a book like physically, read a book on an e-reader, and listen to audiobooks. So I kind of trick my mind. It's still the same thing whether you're reading a book, an ebook, or listening to an audiobook. It's exactly the same thing because you're processing a story. But it's not a way for me to like play a little bit with my brain and be like, no, you're not sitting and reading, you're actually cleaning the house but listening to a story at the same time. So I try to do that, but also I try to not focus on numbers and not trying to compare myself to others, because some people are able to read 15 books a month in 2 weeks or whatever, but you don't know their life. Sometimes they're not working, they're not at school, they're not doing anything. Sometimes they're super fast readers, or sometimes they found only books they were like really into, you know, they were loving, etc. So it's always like faster to read when you love a book, etc. For so many reasons they could be able to read 15 books in 2 weeks or a month, etc. and you not. And is it better to read 15 books or is it better to read 2 books? There is absolutely no better in that. You could be reading 0 book a month and what's gonna happen? Nothing. You can read these books or the books you were supposed to read that month another month. There is no booktube police, there is no bookish police, there is no thing here, no rules, you do whatever. But yeah, some people are able to read so many books in such a short amount of time, others are not, and who cares actually? So I'm really trying not to compare myself, to not feel bad about myself, because I have a hectic job, I have a lot of things to do on the private side of my life kind of thing, outside of booktube, outside of work, etc. So I know I won't be able to read 15 books a month. Am I sad about it? Yeah, sometimes I'm mad. I'm like, gosh, I would like to take a month off and to read and nothing else. But I know in real life it's not possible. And I know that video is going to be a mess because I'm going like right and left or whatever. In short, I would say try to be prepared. And second, don't compare yourself to others. If you want to challenge yourself realistically according to your life, your own goals, your own rules, whatever. So you can still challenge yourself. You're not challenging the community, you're challenging yourself by wanting to read more. If last year you read 25 books and your goal this year is to read 26 books, that's actually one more than last year. That's challenging yourself, and that's amazing if you want to do it. If you achieve that, that's amazing. If you're not, next year. So who cares? So yeah, that's my point of view. Readathon is actually for fun, so don't force yourself to read and to forget about everything else. You need to sleep, you need to eat, you need to have maybe a social life, you need to take care of yourself in order to read more. I know, right? Kind of weird. We keep repeating that you need to take care of yourself and we keep not doing that. First, I'm the first, like I keep saying, everyone take care of yourselves, take time for yourself and whatever, but I don't do that for myself. I'm sorry. Do what I said, don't do what I do. You know. So we briefly talked about readathons sometimes triggering like a reading slump or whatever, but also the lack of sleep or, you know, when I'm not feeling good. But these are things I cannot really control. Unless I find a way to take care of myself, I cannot do anything about it. Something when I'm in the middle of a reading slump, some little challenges I will do is like, oh, read for 5 minutes, read for 10 minutes, read 20 pages, or try to really read something, or try to finish a book for a book club by that date, etc. Or I would split a book in, you know, a few parts, like 3 parts or whatever, and try to finish that book on time, which is not like a set schedule, but it's kind of a set schedule. I would say you have a week for that part, etc. That's how I would overcome like a reading slump. That's how I would like train my brain to get over it, let's say, and not to see reading as a mandatory task or whatever, but just as a hobby, because reading is a hobby unless you're getting paid for it, unless it's part of your uni or job, etc. Reading is a hobby, so it should stay that way. But yeah, you can try to see what works for you. Maybe a tea will help you be in a reading mood, or some kind of blanket, or, you know, being in your bed. Maybe have like a book nook kind of thing, yeah, like a reading nook, a little corner only dedicated to reading, where you don't bring your laptop or whatever. I mean, at least you don't bring work and other kind of obligations there. That could also help your brain, you know, set itself kind of thing, if that makes any sense. Yeah, these are all little games you will play with your brain. Ask for help. Buddy reads, a great way to get over reading slumps, to get that motivation. And as it is just with one person, you can be open and say, okay, I did not read that far, I really cannot, can we postpone the deadline, whatever. Your friends are gonna listen to you. So we talked about readathons. Now let's talk about forcing yourself to read a book. Usually that's the main reason why I would get into a reading slump. Whenever I force myself to actually read a book, read a series, I'm really not enjoying. I will see reading as a mandatory task. I will see reading as some kind of punishment. And that's something I love. I love reading. Reading is like a passion of mine. And whenever I'm reading a book I'm not enjoying, I just look at that book and I don't want to read, and I feel like, oh, I don't want to read it. And then I don't read it and don't read it. And because of that book, and because I have to read that book, I don't get to read other books, and I get to read nothing for a month or whatever. So now whenever I'm not enjoying a book, or whenever I start to feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to read, like I feel some kind of punishment with that, you know what I mean? When my brain starts to see that reading experience as punishment, I move away from that book and I DNF that book. I used to force myself to finish books I did not enjoy, even series, and yeah, that wasn't good actually. I was in a reading slump for 3 months. 3 months. That's too much. That's huge. So yeah, I think DNFing is something we should be celebrating. I mean, celebrating is a big word, but I think we should just be okay with that. DNFing does not mean that you failed at anything. We are not forcing you to eat the food you don't like. So why not DNFing a book? You know what you like, you know what you don't like. So if you don't like something, just stop with it. It should be as simple as that. And I know it's not, and I'm the first one to say it can be complicated to actually decide to finally DNF a book, or to just be like, yeah, it's not for me, nothing wrong with the book, or there is something wrong with the book, but I just can't. So that's something we should be more okay with. It is not an achievement to DNF a book, but it is not an achievement to not or never DNF a book. You know, nothing is like an achievement here. It's just about enjoying a good book. So if you're not enjoying it, just stop it. So I could talk for hours about the good things about DNFing books, but I just wanted to say that it is absolutely fine, and if I don't DNF a book I'm not enjoying, I experience a reading slump. So that might be one of the reasons why you are experiencing so many reading slumps. Maybe, I don't know. So maybe just be aware of that. But yeah, well, I think this video is already gonna be a mess, so I'm gonna stop here. Let me know about your experience with reading slumps and DNFing books. If you have any tips, tricks, or whatever you want to share with us, do it down below in the comment section. But yeah, I hope it was at least entertaining a little bit to see a little bit of my messy point of view. But yeah, well, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to be a part of the pack. Talk to me in the comment section as usual. And until next time, wolves, take care. Bye.